Yeah, man. This Joe Budden complex situation is really, really interesting because it brings up a lot of different layers, a lot of different things that creators, me speaking as a creator myself, understands. Like, I totally understand how this process works when it comes to dealing with corporations and big media conglomerates that just don't understand the culture, don't understand how things move outside of the building. And seeing Joe go through his situation over at Complex just it just really, really it validates why being independent is important. Why independent media, independent music, whatever genre or whatever type of field you're in, it's important to stay true to yourself. And most important thing is don't compromise yourself and don't sell yourself out for a bag. Always fight for what you believe in. Always fight for what you think you are worth. Don't let these huge corporations try to belittle you or try to marginalize you as a creator. And Joe Budden, listening to his podcast and getting a little bit more answers on, exactly what is going on, because, I've been watching Everyday Struggle these last couple days, and I'm like, okay, Joe had his baby on Friday. Where is he at now? So, we had Woohoo Kid on the show, and, he filled in okay, but, of course, he's not Joe Budden, but, he's all right. And, later the news came out that, in fact, Joe Budden will be parting ways with Complex. They both kind of, went their own separate way. I mean, it turns out also listening to Academics is, YouTube or Twitch or whatever, listening to what he had to say, it's basically came down to two sides not meeting in the middle when it came to their, the contract negotiations. And from what Joe Budden was saying, it's like, hey, man, I added all this value to your media organization, to Complex. I added all this value. You guys were doing sponsorships. You was doing all these side deals off the backs of me and Academics and our likeness, and etc. So I want to be compensated, the way a personality should be compensated and creator should be compensated, especially if the results are coming in very well, and the show has been very successful. And a lot of people don't know Joe Budden created the show. He came up with the concept. He came up with the idea. A lot of people don't know that. They just see Joe Budden and the character that is Joe Budden on screen and all the layers that comes with that, but they don't understand that this guy is also very, very creative, and he did create this show. And he's saying, look, as a creator, as a mind behind the camera, I want to be compensated for. And it just came down to a corporate thing. It came down to a situation where they just marginalized him and tried to give him, what he felt he wasn't worth. And that's the tale right there. Not to make it too long of a story, but again, I just go back to speaking to you guys who are listening, who are creators, who do come up or innovate. Hey, man, don't let these corporations win. And all those listeners who don't create or they just listen to creators or music or whatever avenue you escape to, look, it's always important to really, really support the people that you're behind, the people that you care about, the people that you are fans of, the people that you enjoy. You should all try to support independence, because what will happen is you'll be in a world where you have a bunch of whitewashed garbage on your television and on your internet. Because once these corporations control the narrative, once they control the content that you are receiving, that you are getting into your living room or your computer or your smartphone, it's over. So you don't want the essence stripped away from the culture. That's why it's important that you support these independent businesses. And if a guy that you care about and you like him and they say, hey man, buy my album, Hey, you don't even have to buy it at this set price. Pay me what you think it's worth. You should do it. You should do it because it helps a lot. It helps a lot, man. You don't understand how much it helps. It doesn't just help that artist or that creator with money in his pocket. It also helps the whole ecosystem, keeping everything neutral and not having these corporate overlords take over everything. All right? But just real quick before I end this, I just, so it was just interesting, and then with this Joe Budden situation with Complex, it just had me thinking about what Dame Dash said about Complex almost 3 years ago. He called this. Dame Dash is a lot of things. He's been portrayed a lot of different ways in the media and with the industry heads that run the industry as far as the music industry business. He's been portrayed in so many different lights. But what I've seen and what I know by watching him and following him, I don't know him personally, of course, but I see a guy who is deeply principled. And he calls stuff for what it is. And he said almost 3 years ago that, hey, Complex and the people running Complex at the time are culture vultures. And, I'm quoting him verbatim, but he was saying they are robbing artists. He said this almost 3 years ago. So seeing this Joe Budden situation play itself out doesn't really surprise me. Granted, there's different people in charge now because Complex is now a venture that's owned by Verizon because they swooped in and bought, Yahoo, and I think they even own AOL. And they own all of these different media properties on the internet, which is dangerous. But he said it then, before that venture, before that acquisition, that Complex, the very culture that they've created over there, preys on the culture. But we know this. We know this. So, that's just something that played through my mind once I seen this whole Joe Budden situation play out. I hope that some way, somehow, him and Academics can come together and create their own independent show away from these corporate bloodsuckers and really give us that entertainment that we loved, man. I was a fan of the show. It was great. So we'll see what Academics is going to do. He said that he started his contract negotiations about a week ago, so we'll see how that all unfolds. But, I'm not trying to get in his pockets or trying to tell him how to make his own decisions. But I think he needs to always remember that. Don't compromise yourself and your integrity just to get a bag, So I would love, as a person, a fan of the culture and a person who is a creator himself, I would love Academics, who's a creator, to just, listen, hear them out. But, at the end of the day, I hope he just says, nah, I'd rather go solo and create my own thing and keep doing what I've been doing, because he's done great on his own, even before Everyday Struggle. So, that's just my 2 cents. What y'all think about it? Did y'all hear about this news? If so, let me know what you think about it.